Hey, on this video I'm going to be reviewing this tiny camera called Revodata. It's a 5 megapixel camera based on PoE power and it is Fisheye Lens, 70 degrees wide angle, little neat camera. This could be used for things like bird boxes where you want to record birds nesting, for example. You could put it somewhere discreet where you don't want someone to see that camera. Could be somewhere in the stock rooms, could be in a shop, could be somewhere where it doesn't draw too much of attention like other cameras would when they stick out. So let's check out how good is it. So as I said, this is 5 megapixel POE IP camera. It can be linked with various devices. It could be your Synology surveillance station, it could be your mobile app you link it with, it could be simply sending pictures to FTP server, how you wish. So when I say PoE, that means all you need is a single cable, LAN cable connected to a PoE switch. It could be either PoE Injector or PoE 5 port or more port switch. Or if you don't have that sort of switch, just to reuse a regular LAN cable, plug it in and use the power cable to connect the power to this thing. Otherwise, close this thing down and leave it be and use just the PoE cable. It supports both H.265 and 264 encoding, so depending on the system you have, you might choose one or another. For example, Synology, struggling with transcoding, you may want to choose 264 older encoding format. As you also see, it has a really nice metal chassis, and you can have an angle adjustable here, so you can actually connect it somewhere either to the ceiling of the room or inside the bird box if you wanted to. You can adjust the tightness and you can put it in any angle you want to. It's going to be black and it's not going to stick out. The lens is 3.7mm. Quality of the picture is not the best, but it's fairly good. So if you're curious about the measurements, that's the length of the cable you get. It's around maybe 50 centimeters long. The camera itself is really small, finger thick. Like 30 millimeters, less than 28 millimeters, 51 millimeters high, so 5 centimeters, 3 centimeters. So this camera has built-in microphone and it also works in a really low light situations like bird boxes or stockroom where there's no light during the night maybe. So it's really good. And it has this ONVIF compatibility, which means you can connect it to literally anything you want to. If you want to look at the specs, it has CMOS sensor. The resolution goes up to 2880 pixels and it's supporting 20 frames per second. The lens, as I said, is 3.7mm. It comes pre-configured with manual IP. This could be an issue for some of the people. It's 192.168.1.108, the IP. So you will need to have a router which has the same range of the IP addresses for you to be able to connect it and access the admin panel, so you can change the IP or set automatic IP. Otherwise, you will need to manually connect to your laptop, set the manual IP on your computer, and therefore you'll be able to scan the available devices connected through the LAN port. And this way you will be able to get into admin panel and change the settings. It comes with quite smart built-in software already in this thing. So it has things like motion detection, email alarms. You can link with so many things. It supports protocols like HTTP, TCP, RTSP, RTP, RTCP, SMTP, DHCP, DNS, PPOE, NTP, and so on. So you can link it with Android or Apple phones. As I said, it also supports H.264 and H.265. That's the compression format. 265 is the newer standard, which can compress bigger files more densely, since this is 5 megapixel camera. So you can link it with NVR, which is Network Video Recorder, or NAS, or you can link it to your computer if you want to. It's also worth mentioning it supports 2 streams. That means you can link this camera to 2 NVRs at the same time, or if you connect to NVR, you can also use the app to access the direct stream of this camera. So it's capable of sending the stream 2 ways simultaneously. Very good feature. The LAN itself is limited to 100 megabits, not 1 gigabit as you would normally see, but for this resolution camera, it's all that you need. It's more bandwidth than it could actually potentially push through, so it's alright. So then we can go to pros and cons. So pros, 5 megapixel camera, really good resolution, PoE, so you don't need additional cables. They need to think about plugging power cables somewhere nearby the camera, so you can run it somewhere outside if you wanted to, as long as there is some sort of water protection above it. It has ONVIF compatibility, which allows it to connect it to so many things you could think of. It supports both encoding formats 264, 265. Based on the system you are running, you want to connect it to. This will be a really handy feature so that you can switch from one to another. It has built-in microphone, so you can actually record audio, what's going on in that room. It also is really small. That means you can fit it in anywhere you can think of, including bird boxes. And also it has a mount, so you can screw it to the rooftop or something, somewhere in any angle you can think of. It's really adjustable. It also has a really low power consumption. It was like 0.01 watt, which means it literally uses no energy. And it works really well in low light situations. This will allow you to see faces and objects and creatures and whatever might be. You'll be able to see what's happening actually, even if there is no light in that room where you have installed this camera. Also good for bird boxes during night. Having infrared cameras might generate this red light, which means if you want to use it for bird box, it might repel actually those birds from this light. They might not want to nest around this. And this is a part for those people that like configuration side of things. So this is how you set up manual IP address. If you have a Mac, you go to settings and set a manual IP. Make sure that IP is in the same range as the IP camera. Then connect it directly, scan the network, and you'll be able to find the camera's IP. It should be by default ending with 108. You will need to use this IP address in your web browser. So this is how you access the admin panel now for this camera. So use admin123 password, and then you'll be able to log in. And then you will be able to set a automated IP address. If your home router has different range, this will simplify things a lot. Or you can set a manual IP if you want to. So then we can see a quality of the camera, how good the picture is, either outdoors or indoors. And then you can go through the settings. You can see how you can switch between encoding formats, 264, 265. You can choose the quality of the video feed. You can choose the resolution. You can choose day mode or night mode. You can adjust a little bit of the colors if you want to. Then you can also go further on and set up some sort of recording schedules if you want to. There are quite a few options there. Then you can set up alarm if there's some movement or anything at a certain time of the day, so you'll get the notifications through the email or FTP server or anything else. Same, you can play with time to set this up. You can connect technically extra storage and stuff like that, and there are a few features like human detection, and these are all options you can set triggers to. And you can set what happens if the storage is full, does it override or something else. And you can also enable or disable microphone if you want to, or you can simply also give a name for your camera, so it will simplify the process of recognizing where your camera is located if you connect it to your NVR, for example, or if it's if you scan through your private network, it will have its own name. So that's a very handy feature. Then you can also set things up like how the date will be displayed, what language you want, what sort of time format you want, or video format. All these things can be changed, including enable or disabling DST. Same as time settings, you can set automated or manual time zone. If you don't want to remember changing time slots between summertime and then winter time, you can do that automatically. You can enable ONVIF or disable ONVIF. this is a feature that you will need to connect to your NVR or Synology. You can create a new username, Synology, or whatever username you want to give. You just give it there, and this is going to be a simpler way or even safer way to connect to your NVR. And then also you can set up some system schedules, and you can update the firmware and or do the reset if you want to, and look at the logs and the network stuff and alarm stuff, and you can just play around with this software if you want to, but I'm just going to quickly go through these things so you can have a general idea what to expect in this software, and that's about it. And finally, this is how you add a camera to your surveillance station. Click add and then go to scanner. So it's going to scan through the network, find all IP addresses. If there's any ONVIF camera, it will come up like this. So select the camera we just set up earlier and click next, and then authenticate. So you'll be able to use this Synology username and password that we created, and that should allow you to connect the camera. So type in Synology, type in the password, and use the remaining things can stay as they are. And that's it. The camera is now added, and this is it. I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to subscribe and like, or go to nascompare.com.